Hello, everyone. Welcome to wool&coffee for today, May 5th. We have a special guest today. We are going to be launching a three-part series with our development team because I know you all have so many questions about what the process of development is like. So I am joined today with Kristen, who is the Director of Product Development, who is going to talk with us today just about the process of how we develop products from concept to what is actually available for sale. So Kristen, thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Happy to be here.
Wonderful. So the first question, in this kind of overview of our development process is, can you tell me how Wool&C comes up with these like new concepts and product ideas?
Yeah, so our designer, who I'm sure you've met, Ellie, she pulls inspiration from a lot of different places. So she's really good about looking at what's out in the market, balancing that with not being so trend focused, but like with timeless pieces. What is the white space in our assortment? Coming up with ideas that could go into that capsule wardrobe. We love hearing feedback and images from the customer, knowing what you really like in the assortment and how we can maybe adjust something, adopt a new style, but make an old style kind of new by adding length or adding a different sleeve. So she'll kind of pull all those things together and with overarching themes, like what's happening in nature for the season. So she puts together a great deck of inspiration images. She combines color into that so that she can make sure to give us direction on where she's headed and what's inspiring her at the time. And she'll present back to the team where she's headed for the season.
I love that. In fact, I've seen it, and it's always really exciting to see kind of where Ellie's mind is and like what she's kind of leaning towards. And then she asks for feedback from the team, like from the customer service team, just to kind of see what trends we're noticing with what customers are asking for. Not necessarily like trendy pieces that are going to be out of style, but more like what are we being asked for? So
yeah. And we have a Slack channel actually internally that's called just product ideas, and everyone contributes to it. If they see something great that they feel like would work within the Wool&C brand, they throw it in the Slack channel, and we usually just collaborate back and forth because we all, know our customer, or hope we know our customer well enough to know what they're looking for. So
yes. So in our notes for this meeting, you mentioned the line plan, which is something we use a lot internally. So can you kind of talk about how once these concepts are pulled together, what happens next and like how they're kind of assembled into a plan?
Sure. So basically the term line plan is a document that a merchandiser puts together. It shows the total assortment that we're going to be building for the season. It will include carryover styles that have done really well for us, that our customer really likes. It'll list how many colors we're going to do in those carryover styles, and then it'll show what styles we need to design into for the season. So, how much budget we have for those styles, how much we can support as far as units go, and how much newness we are looking for that season. So our merchandiser will build that line plan. She'll slot in certain ideas from the concept deck. If we've heard feedback on like upvote or in our returns recap, she'll also add styles in there. For example, if a style is a good style, but we've definitely heard feedback that it can be improved, then she'll note that in the line plan of like, we're going to repeat the style, but development team is going to relook at, how we can improve it. So she'll present that back to our team, and then we know coming away from that how many styles we actually need to design into and start sketching.
Okay. Yeah. So just for anybody watching this video, a really good example of this would be that Halsey like tunic tee, where we launched it last year and everybody loved it, but we did hear that the sleeves were a little too short. The thumb holes, people wanted them to be a little longer, or like the location of the thumb holes to be a little longer. And maybe even though it was designed intentionally with a wider neck so that it could show off like a cute sports bra or something like that, maybe it was just a little bit too wide. So the development team, said, we're bringing it back, but we're going to just make a couple tweaks based on customer feedback. So that would be a really good example of how that is used. Okay. Awesome. So next on the list of notes would be talking about a sketch review and like the process of how the sketch review will work. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So concept is kind of higher level, like inspiration out in the market, all the ideas coming together. And then after the line plan and really getting more detailed information from merchandising, we kind of go into like the third layer, which is sketching. So it really hones in on how many styles we're doing, what those styles are, and Ellie will take the inspiration and actually sketch out in Illustrator a black and white CAD of what the styles are. You're familiar probably as a customer with CADs because you've seen in the coming soon section, we actually upload those CADs as is, colored up. So those are kind of the format that she's putting together. She'll pull together an entire presentation with the black and white sketch. She'll list information on the side. She'll put in kind of fit photos. She'll go out into the market and find like fit photos that are from other brands that really illustrate like what we're going after.
So
Those fit
like a certain waistline or like a certain
yeah.
line. So she's kind of pulling those together.
She's pulling it together so that our team is very visual. And I think any type of visual really helps as far as like taking styles through the process. So she'll pull different visuals from a variety of brands to kind of help Frankenstein together a style. So
Probably
that, yeah.
Frankenstein and Frankenstein.
Yeah. So that's a really good opportunity for our team to start having questions about what construction details are happening. Do we feel like we have, too many fit and flares? So, okay, there's fit and flares. We know we need a few, but are these two styles too similar? How do we differentiate them? We talk through fabric at that time, what fabric will execute best in a style. And that's a really collaborative meeting where we all kind of get involved and talk through what do we want that end result to be. And so we walk away from that meeting really knowing what styles are going to go into development.
That is a great segue to the fourth note on the list, which is development process. So once we get through the sketch review and then the development starts, like sounds like physical development of something starts. Can you talk about the process of changing it from a sketch to like the physical product?
Yeah. So like I said, we go through fit details. We're working very hard behind the scenes on, perfecting, I would say, fit through every new style that we're putting out there. So when we receive feedback that something fits really well, we're going to make sure that we take those specs and we adopt them for another style that has similar styling. We're looking at standardizing our lengths. So like a midi dress is going to become a true midi. We have like a range of midi lengths that we intend to use moving forward. And we'll go through all of those details so that our pattern maker and our technical designer can pull together what we call a tech pack. A tech pack includes everything from a black and white sketch with call outs to all the construction details, how each seam is sewn. It'll call out the measurements for every point of measure on the body. We'll include every trim, every fabric, every colorway. All of those details get put into one document, and then we send them over to our vendor partners overseas. They'll pull together the information and actually create a sample for us, which we call a proto sample. And that's kind of the first step in really seeing it come to life. So the proto sample comes to our office. We conduct fittings usually once a week. We have, our 3 different fit models. We have our plus model, our size medium women's model, and then our men's medium model. And depending on how many samples come in a week, we'll fit those on the body, a live model, take photos, and really go from head to toe. Like, how did this measure? How is this looking? How do we think it fits? And we really look at every detail on the body, and then we'll take some time after we do the fitting to look at details off body. See if we want to move the placement of a button. Those kind of fine details we'll walk through. And we typically go through 3 rounds of samples. 2 would be the base size, that size medium, and then the third round of samples will actually get multiple sizes within the range to make sure that we really like the fit of it across sizes before officially approving it.
Pretty in depth.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you'll see behind me, we have a dress form. So we have a plus dress form and a Missy dress form, and we use both of those when protos come in. We'll fit them on a live body, and then we'll also fit them on the dress form so that we have photos of both.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing all this. This was fantastic. So
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to share. So, today we're talking with Kristen. Then our next video in the series is going to be talking with Ellie, who is the designer. So she's going to be talking a little bit more about her process and like color inspiration and things like that. I know that's a topic that everyone's been really curious about. And then for the third video in this series, we're actually going to bring in Helena and Wallace, who are the pattern maker and the technical designer. Do I have that the
Yep.
titles right?
Yep.
It's funny because
Yep.
I had to ask Kristen before this meeting. We've been working together for a while, and I was like, "What's your official title?" Because I know who's on what team, but just knowing exactly what our titles are isn't always quite so straightforward. But
My team calls me the conductor or the maestro.
because you coordinate all the moving pieces. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kristen. This was wonderful. I'm looking forward to talking with the rest of your team soon.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if anyone watching this has any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments and we'll do our best to get them answered. So,
Yeah.
have a great
Nice to talk to you. Thank you.
bye.
Bye.